Are we going to revisit the tech and white collar layoffs of 2022? Folks, I don't know if you remember the time when Amazon, Facebook, Google were all announcing a series of layoffs. Well, it might be starting again. Last week, we heard from CrowdStrike that announced a workforce reduction of 5%, not to be outdone by Microsoft. Microsoft announcing a 3% cut, or about 6,000 folks. Reading through the Microsoft announcement, it appears that once again, folks are going after middle management. This is something that has been really a part of all the layoff announcements that I have seen for, frankly, the last 20 years. Again, sometimes you got to be careful what you wish for when you climb the corporate ladder. So again, what do you do with this, right? Is a white collar recession coming? Maybe. If you are in a white collar job, the one thing that I've told you for years that you should be doing is getting close to revenue. And I'm not talking some pie in the sky future revenue, because if things go bad, they will cut those projects. I'm talking about revenue that is actually showing up month on month, quarter on quarter, year on year. Those are how you reduce the chances of getting one of those unfortunate announcements. Secondarily, obviously, you should make sure your reserves are adequate. You should make sure you have skilled up or taken opportunities where appropriate. And if so be it, you create a side hustle or maybe buy a franchise or vending machine or whatever it is always nice to have a plan B. For me, that was obviously holding real estate that if something went wrong, I could sell and be very liquid. So again, folks, it appears that the big tech companies might be going through another culling or layoff cycle. So be careful out there. It does look like the IPO window is opening, which is pretty interesting. The IPO window was really closed since Liberation Day. A lot of companies delayed since the announcement over the weekend. It appears that the window is opening up. In fact, Chime has just filed paperwork to go IPO. And there's a company called eToro, which is a stock and crypto trading site, that is just priced at $52. So I suspect they will be going out this morning or perhaps tomorrow. So again, the IPO window opening is a sign that risk is moving from off to on, which I think is interesting. We are starting to see some retailers highlight pain, some real pain. American Eagle. I don't think I've ever shopped at an American Eagle. Probably not. I guess I'm too old to shop there, but anyways. American Eagle withdrew 2025 guidance, wrote down $75 million in related $75 million related to their spring and summer merchandise. Someone is getting fired at American Eagle, probably several someones, because what that means is they had the wrong inventory, they had the wrong styles, they had the wrong this, the wrong that, and they had to write off $75 million in inventory. Ouch. That is not good. It is Wednesday, so we get another preview on mortgage applications. Mortgage applications, remember, folks, last week were up a whopping 11%. They are up this week on week, up 1.1% collectively. Mortgage purchase apps were up 2% week on week and 18% year on year. If you're in the real estate industry, you're a mortgage broker, you're a real estate agent, can you believe that purchase applications are up 18% from last year? Does it feel like this spring selling season is 18% better than last year? Certainly doesn't with people I'm talking to, but maybe I'm not talking to enough people. The refi area was down 0.4% week on week, but it too was up 44% year on year. Same question, mortgage brokers. Are you seeing refi demand up 44% from last year? Pretty crazy. We did hear from one Fed president already this morning, two. Fed President Goolsby's out talking. It says that our task is not to respond to daily market volatility. Frankly, I agree with that statement and the sentiment behind it. Right now, the Fed will wait for more information. I cannot believe that the odds of a June rate cut, last I checked, were 11%. Every Fed president that I've heard, including this one from Goolsbee, is like, dude, not happening. We need to wait. Goolsbee goes on to say, we need to get past the noise in the data. So what does that mean? Well, that probably means he's expecting a couple of months of just bad data, right? We got people buying ahead of the tariffs. Now we have people revenge buying it, this, that, and the other thing. So pretty interesting. Last thing Goolsbee said that I took note of is it will take time for the current inflation trends to show up in the data. This is really a shout out to the soft data, which has been, let's call it, horrible, and the hard data, which frankly has been pretty good. So Goolsbee is saying, wait, it's coming. So we'll see what happens there. Since we're talking about Fed presidents, let's highlight something Christopher Waller also said. He said that rate cuts could come from rising unemployment. Again, as I've talked for a long time now, in 2025, if we are going to get rate cuts, it's going to be for the wrong reasons. If you've been on my channel for a long time, you know that I've called for 0 rate cuts in 2025 for 9 months now. But I will acknowledge that if the unemployment market breaks and gets anywhere close to what Meredith Whitney was calling 6%, I mean, I did the math. It's like 2.5 million people, right? Almost 3 million people to get to 6%. I hope she's wrong. No, none of us should hope for that. But yes, I agree. If the unemployment market breaks, we will get rate cuts, but they will be for the wrong reason. Also, remember, don't forget, we talk every Thursday about the weekly unemployment claims. They are now back to baselining in the 220s. I will again remind you that we should be watching the continuous claims, because in this environment, I suspect that the unemployment rate will not move materially. However, the tenure or length of unemployment is going to go up. That is what I see for the next 6 to 12 months. Good old Tom Lee, yes, Tom Lee from Fundstrat, often called the biggest bull on the street. And frankly, he's not batting 1,000, but he's got to be batting 600 or 700% over the last couple of years. He had a big call. He said that economists calling for an imminent recession are dead wrong. Thought that was an interesting quote. The Wall Street Journal has finally caught up with what you and I have been talking about all year. The spring selling season is a dud. No kidding, Wall Street Journal. If you've been following what we've been talking about, I told you all year that we were going to do sub 4 million in existing home sales. But don't worry, we're almost to next year. Next year will be better. We are starting to see signs of a localized recession in the DC area. According to one article I read, talked about the Doge recession is fast approaching. They highlighted several factors that I thought was interesting, and this is something you probably could look for in your area. Again, it's very possible to have a localized recession given changes. Think oil patch in Texas, the government or military leaving San Diego. Obviously, a Doge recession in DC makes sense. 1, rising unemployment makes sense. Less credit card spending. Folks, I've been telling you for a long time that the consumer is remarkably predictable. When they are afraid, they do not spend. Second, 17% of the workforce is employed by the federal government. So basically 1 in 5 adults works for the federal government. Spending at big retailers down 2%. Again, when the consumer is scared, they don't spend. And then finally, home listings are soaring. Inventory is coming on the market and coming on the market quickly. I do have a question for you out there. I spoke with Beth Traverso yesterday, the amazing top 1% agent in the country who supports Seattle and King County. She let me know that demand is surprisingly back. Now, again, it is actually not a surprise to me that Seattle area, which is very tech heavy, think Amazon, think Microsoft, think, other tech companies, would see an increased demand because the stocks are back, and in some cases higher than they were before. As I've always seen, the consumer who is stock rich, their behavior changes once they lose 30 or 40%. So think about this. You're a tech worker in Seattle. You're shopping for a home. Your stock balance is, I don't know, $500,000. Bingo bango, one day it's now $250,000. First thing you do is stop shopping for a home. You're probably nervous. You're probably scared. Your net worth was cut in half. Bingo bango, fast forward a month, fast forward 6 weeks, fast forward 8 weeks. It's now back at 500. What do you do? Well, given what I've seen over the last couple of decades, is you start shopping for a home and you do it quickly. You want to get that equity out of stocks and into a home, because once bitten, twice shy. So if you happen to work in a tech-heavy area, think Seattle, think the Silicon Valley, think SoCal, think Austin, and there's probably others across the country that escapes me at the moment. What are you seeing? Did buyers show up the last 7 days? We are at or near all-time highs. So again, have buyers returned? Let me know in the comments below. I would love to hear from you. Let's congratulate some people that joined school. Again, folks, school is growing and growing quickly. I appreciate that. Again, I will be going live Sunday at 8 a.m. if you want to come and ask me questions. I want to congratulate Steve, Maggie, Inky, and Kenya. All 4 of you joined in the last 24 hours. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Make sure you introduce yourself, get to know and meet all of the amazing folks in the community. Figure out which accountability group makes sense for you. There are 6 of them. Ladies of real estate agents, out-of-state investing, and more. Again, find the one that works for you. Also, we are 67 subscribers away from 69,000. So if you can help me get to the 69,000 mark, I would appreciate it. Somebody left a comment yesterday that I wanted to ask you a question about. Someday, one rental at a time will be 100,000 subscribers. Someday. I was thinking, remember when we got to 50,000? We did that first ORaaT event thanks to Dion. What do you think? We get to 100,000 and we have an ORaaT cruise. What do you think? Is that something that I think we would probably have to get 20, maybe 40 people to kind of make economic sense, because it's not cheap. But who would want to go on an ORaaT cruise where we just celebrate the goodness of ORaaT and the fact that this journey has taken us to 100,000 subs? I would probably do it either out of the West Coast up to Alaska, or maybe the East Coast, Miami down to the Caribbean. Those would probably be the 2 options. Probably a 7-day cruise to make it easy for folks. But I thought that was an interesting question. Let me know in the comments if you might be up to go on that. Last thing we'll talk about here is Barclays. Barclays expects 3 rate cuts, but not until 2026. Again, folks, I've been telling you all year, 0 cuts in 25. Barclays says 3 coming in 2026, March, June, and September. And lastly, folks, let's congratulate Elix. Elix, congratulations for getting your next deal. Folks, I send out these black cards to anybody who gets their second or more deals, and I send out a gold card to anybody who gets their first deal. Folks, I want to know, I want more of you inside school. We're almost to 400. We're almost to 400 folks. So get inside school, meet the other amazing people, and I will talk to you live 8 a.m. Sunday. So I will put the link in there shortly. All right, guys, take care. Later.